Okay. All right. So, like we decided last week, we will be talking about the National Wake Up Call on Thursday nights. I really liked how our discussion went last week, and it is a little bit more casual. So, you feel free to stop me anytime if you have questions or input about anything.
Okay.
It's just a chance to chat and kind of think through some of the stuff we're learning. But I did want to start by, let me click on this, by recognizing you.
Oh.
The fact that you already have 4 Success Club points in April. That's awesome. And, like you told me, you said how many people are in your challenge group already?
I have 6 right now.
That's
and then a couple
awesome.
that are kind of still debating.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's amazing. And just, a word of encouragement, even though like you're starting off like so awesome. I wanted to tell everyone this. I had someone text me yesterday, and I went back in my text messages because I was talking to my husband about it, and I scrolled up in my text messages to her and looked to see when I had invited her the first time, and it was February of 2017. And the last time we had talked about stuff was like March of 2017. And she texted me yesterday out of the blue and said, I'm ready. Like she had told me no all the, back then, but yesterday she was ready. And I was the person she came to because of that initial invite. And so you never know people who will begin to watch you and will continue watching you. And when the time is right, they'll come back to you. So the longer I've been in this business, the more stories like that I have. So it's really encouraging. But yeah, I just wanted to congratulate you and tell you to keep it up for sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so just a couple of announcements. I am editing our new coach basics training, like I mentioned kind of at the beginning. The one of the top coaches, very successful coaches that I got our training from, I was looking over hers today and seeing how she has updated it in some different ways. And so I'm kind of combing through hers and seeing where ours needs to be edited a little bit. So I will definitely share that with y'all once it's, it'll still be in the same place. I just might change some videos or even ask you all to record some videos to add to the training. And then, as I mentioned in our WhatsApp group text, I really want, as more and more coaches are added, I would love to have like a brand new coach, like success pod group text, just so that, that would be an option. Another option would be our like emeralds who are pushing for diamond, or maybe coaches who are pushing for emerald, just different focus groups so that new coaches can be with other coaches who are going through the same thing as them, at the same season rather, and really can have, someone to encourage them and hold them accountable, and just a smaller group of people who are talking versus the bigger group, which can become overwhelming. I still think it has a very important purpose, and I love that everyone can ask questions there and people can respond as they have time. But I am going to be kind of thinking through more, especially while I'm in Cancun. I'm hoping to do a lot of just vision casting and, spending some time, not necessarily on power hour work, but really focusing on what just some things I've been wanting to focus on that I haven't had time for. So that's one of those things, but that is coming soon. I also sent a very long message in the WhatsApp group text earlier with just a lot of different videos. And I just would encourage you, when I see videos like that, things that I know I want to watch, I seldom have time right then to watch them or listen to them, but I just have a place on my phone where I save all of that stuff so that when I'm driving for a while and I know I can press play on something and listen, or, when I get a chance to take an Epsom salt bath and turn on some personal development, like I have a place to pull from. So I just would encourage y'all to do that as well. One of those links was those of you who are going to Summit. There is a big party connected to Melissa, the founder of Fit Legacy, our parent coach. We attended this party last year. It is a little pricey. I think it's $40 per person. But you get hors d'oeuvres and drinks and just kind of a chance to hang out with other coaches. It's kind of a kickoff for Summit party. So I just wanted to make sure those attending Summit were aware of that. And then just so you know, soon I will be sharing some more information with you. This is the kind of the vital behaviors that the company, through some research, have identified as being the people who grew their business and increased their business over the past year. These were the behaviors they were doing. And so I'm in a group with Carl, our CEO, who is kind of walking through each of these slowly and giving us tools for how to do these things. And the thing he's focused on this week and probably this month, we're going through it very slowly, is to define your target market. And so as I'm working through that and receiving tools from him, I will be communicating that to y'all as well. But it's very, very valuable stuff. So I'll be sharing that soon. So let's jump into discussing the National Wake Up Call. And I love the little blurb, I believe his name was Kevin, did at the beginning, where he told this whole airplane story and this whole experience with the stewardess who was a breast cancer survivor, and just how when she was selling, trying to collect money for breast cancer awareness, like for donations for, just advances in studying that and medicine for that, she only collected, I said $14, but it's not 14. I wrote that down wrong. It was like 47 or something. But she came back on the intercom and shared her story, that she was a breast cancer survivor and that she felt like everyone could do a little bit better than that. And of course, she then collected almost $500 when she walked back through. And his point was that the first time she was selling, but the second time she was sharing, she was telling her story. And so I think that's a good reminder for us in these social media posts that we, sometimes get tired of doing, feeling like we're saying the same thing, falling into this hole of just telling, different things. We really want to be sharing our story. We don't want to be selling something. We want to be creating curiosity and sharing our specific story and experience. And I think that's really the meat of what the National Wake Up Call was, specifically getting into there we go. Specifically getting into struggles, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. But I have heard Kim Lima's story before. It's really pretty cool. She has a really cool story of when she found out she had breast cancer and how she was nervous that her doctor was going to tell her not to drink Shakeology. And she was scared to take the bag in, but she took it in, and he looked at the ingredients and just, said, this is an amazing product, and you can absolutely continue drinking this. And the fact that you were drinking this probably has reason to do with why the cancer is not as advanced as it is. So she's got a really cool story, but I love that she didn't focus on that in the National Wake Up Call. She even made the point that you don't have to have some big story like being a breast cancer fighter or survivor in order to connect to people, in order to help people and serve them. But I wanted to kind of address this one part that she began with. She said when she first started, she was afraid to talk about the things that got her where she was, especially Shakeology. And so I wanted to just ask for feedback on, we've all been on our journeys for different lengths of time, but do you fall into this now? Have you ever fallen into that, being afraid to talk about a certain part of the total complete solution, which, just to define it, the total solution is fitness, the fitness programs, nutrition, the Shakeology, and the eating plans, meal plans, and support. So a coach, a challenge group. So is there any part of that in your sharing with people that you find yourself hesitating to talk about? And why do you think that is? Does anyone have any feedback on that? And it doesn't have to be maybe necessarily, maybe that's something you've overcome and you don't struggle with it now, but you did at some point in your business.
I know for me, a lot of my target audience is a lot, like people my age, so a lot of college kids, and so I guess like the one thing that kind of holds me back is like talking about Shakeology, because I'm like, I know they're gonna say it's too expensive, and I know that that's what they're gonna say to me, and everyone does, and so then I just go along the lines, just like, I thought that too, but then I started, you can use it as a meal replacement. It's a $45 meal, that kind of thing. And so then I just, told them how I used it. But that's kind of the one thing that kind of is holding me back a little bit. And I kind of get nervous because I'm like, all right, I'm ready for them to respond saying this. I'm just waiting for it. So.
Yeah. Ashley, you have any input on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been a little, I don't talk about Shakeology as much, not because I don't think it's a great product, but I think because of the money thing as well. Just, I don't know. And I guess I don't want people to think that it's not going to take hard work, like, I think Shakeology is a great product, but I think where I'm hesitant sometimes is, people think that Shakeology is one of those quick fixes. If I drink this, I'm going to lose weight or whatever, if that makes sense. Like, I want it to be about the fact also that you have to put in the hard work. You have to do the workouts. So I don't ever want it to be like, oh yeah, this is my superfood shake, and because of this, I've lost all this weight and everything. Because I think that it has something to do with that. I just don't think that it made me lose all the weight because I put in the hard work too. I don't know. I'm just rambling, but anyways.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point of, the value of sharing the total solution, the complete solution. And I have to kind of have that in mind when I plan out my social media marketing plan and look at, okay, I can't just talk about Shakeology. I can't just talk about fitness. And I think sometimes I'm pretty fitness heavy, maybe for some of those same reasons. But, I also want to be talking about the need for community and the need for accountability and support and the value that I provide as a coach. Like, it's okay to tell people about that. And so I loved that she was just saying, we've got to talk about it all. We've got to be not necessarily overwhelm people with information, but we want to say, here's my story and here's what it involved. And it involved all of these pieces, So yeah, that was a good reminder for me, for sure. So the power of the struggle, she mentioned, that we need to share every part of our journey, and that although we tend to approach that with fear of maybe people thinking we're hypocritical or wondering what others will think, feeling like they won't want to follow us or they won't trust us. She made the point, like, that's what builds that immense trust, is when we share with them the struggles that we have. And I loved how she put it with, like, obviously we know we struggle, whatever the struggle is, we have struggles, and every single person will have struggles. But if we omit all of our struggles and never talk about them, then when our challengers or our followers hit those struggles, they think something's wrong with them and they think they're alone and that there's not a place for them in our group or being coached by us. And so they just quit. They don't talk about it most of the time. They just quit and think, well, I don't have whatever she has. And so we don't want to create that persona that we're superheroes or that there's anything special about us. That's one thing that I've really, I feel like I was hearing that a lot in objections, was people saying, I don't have the discipline you have. I don't have the willpower you have. And one of the things Autumn said recently in one of the workouts that really, I thought it was so well worded. She said, willpower is a muscle. It's like a muscle, and you have to use it in order to grow it and strengthen it, you have to flex that muscle in order to build that strength within it. And so, although some people may have some tendencies in one way or another, like you develop habits because you're doing the same small things every single day. And so I've been trying to communicate that on my social media is I don't have some superhero discipline that you don't have. Like there's nothing that I have that you don't have. And so the more I can normalize that, the more I can share exactly what I struggle with. And yes, there are days when I don't want to do this. And yes, there are days when I'm sick. And yes, there are days when my kids are acting crazy. That makes us human, and that makes us someone that people want to follow, because then they don't feel alone when they hit those struggles. So I love that she just made that point that your journey doesn't have to look a certain way. You don't have to be a breast cancer survivor. Like your struggles are very real experiences and very real pain points. And if you're dealing with them, someone else is dealing with them too. So any thoughts or feedback on any of that?
Hi, I'm here. I was able to join over the phone.
Hey.
Hey, I think I kind of came in right at the beginning of this. But I think that's really true, and that's something that I'm learning, because for a long time I was like looking at other coaches like, oh my gosh, they're literally perfect. Like, how do they just make every right food decision and every right workout and all those things? And then being in it and realizing like, okay, like I do struggle too, but like realizing that it is the daily habits and the small choices that we make every single day that develop those habits that help us become more disciplined. And so have been really trying to figure out how to like relay that across social media. That I'm not perfect and I don't have this superpower that makes, waking up every day just so easy. But I think those are all good like points that you made and things that I definitely can relate to and struggle with relaying sometimes as well. So I don't really have a lot of input today, but just that I agree and struggle with those things and trying to be honest and vulnerable and open with my challengers as well.
I think for me, it's easy for me in the challenge group to, say or whatever, but I'm like sharing the challenge group because we're all kind of doing this thing or whatever. But I struggle with social media because, and I think Lauren has talked about this before, but I struggle with, I don't want it to come across as me being negative, So like I have a hard time because like I want to be positive and I want to share my struggles, but I just want to do it in a way to where, I don't know, I don't come across as I'm complaining all the time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something I heard early on that was very, I think pivotal in my understanding of how to do that is you don't necessarily have to, depending on the struggle, you don't necessarily have to share it while you're right in the middle of it if you don't have anything positive to say about it. Like, it's okay to wait and then share it when you can say, and here's how I am getting through it or got through it. But if you're able to say, I mean, there have been times when I've been very, very like struggling big time. And like you said, I've shared about it in the challenge group. I don't really feel like I've overcome whatever it is I'm dealing with yet, but I've been like, I can't post, like I would try to post something else on social media and it just felt fake because it wasn't me. And so what I ended up pushing myself to do was share, okay, here's the struggle. Here's what happened. And I'm still not feeling great, but I told my challenge group about it and they poured into me. And so then I'm highlighting, here are the people around me who are helping me with this, like, and just highlighting this community, this accountability aspect, like, here's what's helping me, even though I don't have it all neatly packaged and tied up with a bow and prescribed, here's how you deal with this. a lot of times it can even be just, you can end it with asking for prayer or asking for encouragement, and people will come out of the woodworks to encourage you, especially when they see that you're dealing with a very real struggle. And so that's always been kind of my rule of thumb with stuff, is to share in a way where I can conclude it with, but here's where I'm finding encouragement, or here's where I'm seeking encouragement. So I might not have anything very inspirational or encouraging to say, but I know I'm going to dig into these people in my life. I know I'm going to dig into scripture. I know I'm going to make myself get up in the morning and open my Bible, even if I don't feel like it, because I know that, you know, that's what I need to do when I'm in situations like this. So that's always been helpful for me.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? Lauren, you're almost done. Okay. So I keep clicking off of this.
So today when I was doing this workout, I was like, yes, we don't have to do this again. And then I looked at the calendar and saw that we have to do it again next week. And I was like,
I figured she would choose this one again.
Yeah.
But so action steps for, you know, she gave us something to do, and she talked about making just getting out sheet of paper and writing these 3 columns. Like the first column lists the struggle, and this could be something you're currently dealing with or something you have dealt with in the past. And remember, you want to think about current, but you also want to think about who you were before you started developing healthy habits, like, because you're talking to that person too. The person, I think a lot of times I can fall into wanting to find someone very similar to who I am now, because I'm thinking along the lines of coaching, and I'm like, oh, they would make a great coach. But most of the time, the people that I need to be serving and helping are who Jamie was 4 years ago. And I was not ready to coach, 4 years ago. I was just like, I needed to invest in myself. So just think through those different things. And the second column, she said, what did you do to get through that struggle? How did you get through it? How are you getting through it now? And then that third column of what did you learn? How did it better you? And just seeing those struggles, I think she used the word as being designed to better us, to help us grow, to help us learn. Autumn says it all the time in our workouts. If it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Like, those two are very, very closely related. So just thinking through that, I was just curious, and no pressure here at all, but I was just curious if anyone has thought through this and would be willing to share just a brief example of something that falls into these 3 categories. Just kind of walking through it.
Wait, what were the 3 categories? I can't see the screen, and so maybe you have them on the screen.
Well, it's just, you identify a struggle, what you did to get through that struggle, and how it, like, what you learned from it.
Okay.
Let me ask this, and I'm putting myself on the spot. What do I struggle with the most? Can y'all tell me based on my social media posts? What have I been sharing about struggling with the most?
Parenting?
Yes. Yes. So that's not related to health and fitness, really. I mean, but it is, because we know that health and fitness affects every area in our lives. And so if I'm going to be the best version of myself, the best parent I can be, then all of this is related. Like getting up in the morning and investing in myself, and being able to give out to others. I've got to receive first. And so parenting is a huge one. That's where most of my struggles are right now, is parenting. So it can be anything. It doesn't have to be, pressing play or, what you're going to eat, even though those struggles are very real too. And I think there's a lot of power, especially in going through something like 80-day obsession, in sharing each struggle along the way and the ups and the downs and the mistakes. And I don't remember which one of y'all I told this to. I was talking to yesterday. But yesterday, I ate my post-workout meal at 8 o'clock, and it was like 1:45 before I got my next meal. Just some situations happened outside of plan. I felt like I was going to pass out. I was probably being a tad dramatic about it. But, I mean, like stuff like that happens. And, some things you should have planned better. Some things you can't control. But it's good to share those things. But any other examples?
No, I feel like I'm always struggling. Oh, Ashley, you go.
No, I was saying way to finish. Workout done.
I almost freaked out when you said that we're doing that again next week.
I'm sorry, I should have waited.
I almost quit right then.
I was so excited to start. Now I'm scared. Just kidding.
It's great. It's wonderful.
I'm just kidding.
I feel like I am always struggling, and I'm with Ashley. I have a hard time trying to find the balance between sharing the struggle and not being negative. But I really like Jamie pointed out that you can talk about what, not pointing out overcoming the struggle. That's not the win. The win is the girls in the group, and the win is the truth that's being shared and the prayer that you receive. So I've been able to kind of shift that a little and focus more on that instead of having just, I don't feel anymore like I have to share that, I overcame the struggle doing this. Like, overcoming the struggle isn't the point.
Mm-hmm.
I also can't breathe very well right now, so sorry.
I think it's cool, even like, because we know we might not like it in the moment, but we know when we're struggling that it's for our good, right? Like, we know that we're going to come out a better person from it. And so it's okay to say that, and to even say, I'm struggling with kind of believing this right now, but I know this is going to grow me. Like, that you can point to what you know is going to happen in the future, even if you're not feeling it right then, for sure.